today's competitive world, logistics and infrastructure can be called the backbone for any business. A major support system it is. When you call logistics and infrastructure, it's not a small term or a word to be discussed. It is an ocean where we keep sailing. Infrastructure is everywhere and anywhere. The internet that we use is an infra. This auditorium is an infra. Today, any product or services that reaches our doorstep is only due to the infrastructure and logistics sector's revolution. The evolved sector at very juncture proposes to either solve a problem or make betterment of the current practices. Our panel speakers who are here today with us are renowned domain specialists and highly skilled individuals who keep innovating techniques to serve India smarter. Thank you very much. I'll call upon the first speaker, Mr. Captain Ramanujam, Senior Advisor.
I have been in this skill ecosystem for almost 10 years, right from the start. In no state of India does an industry come forward to organize such a kind of a seminar. Governments organize, academic institutions organize, but industry coming forward, like IMO coming forward and organizing this, it is a fantastic kind of an opportunity. Please do make use of it. So thank you, IMO, for this wonderful opportunity. I'll start by in my presentation, I'll give 3 examples, and all of you students would fall between this bracket. Nalladurai is from St. Joseph's College, Sri Perumbudur, Computer Science. He joined delivery as a rider, okay, delivery boy. Right now, he's the head, southern region for the entire last mile delivery for delivery, and is earning a 5-figure salary. And if you don't trust me, after this presentation, you can take his mobile number from me. So that is if you've seen right through the yesterday and today, almost all speakers spoke about one thing in common. You must know the domain. Even Mr. Srini, who spoke about fintech, said you must know domain. So domain is the core sector which you're going to join, which you must know. I'll give you another good example now that's coming up. You are all engineers. But now what this industry needs is more bang for buck. Means for one investment, how much can you deliver? For example, now in Cochin port, they ask for quayside crane operators. Quayside cranes are which are next to the ships on the jetty, pick up the container, have to drop it on the vessel. 30 moves you have to do in an hour. Typical salaries are in the region of 1.5 lakhs and above. What they are looking for is engineers who can also do the maintenance of the crane. Once you do that, in 6 months flat, you are assured of a job in the Gulf, which is at 3-4 times the salary. See how the world is changing, user maintainer. So what used to be, you think that is a crane operator, but the crane operator right now is the key, because the 30 moves per hour brings the revenue to the port. Similarly, forklift. Logistics as a sector is a very horizontal sector. And there's so much of, yesterday one of the speakers said, right now the need is for multi-skilling. And I'm now working on a project. This is for banana export. Tamil Nadu, bananas are supposed to be most famous. Produces 4.1 lakh tons. And you know how much is the export per year? 600 tons. Is there a scope? Yes. Why has it not been done? Because multiple stakeholders are involved. Farmer wants to do it. But farmer says, you give me a solution. So what is the solution? There's a logistics company. They say, you bring the banana, I will store it. So you need multiple people. In fact, Mr. Srini was also part of that. About 10 days back, we got together multiple stakeholders, technology providers. There's a company which uses what is called phase-changing methods for cooling, which incidentally, thanks to it, we could do the vaccination for the entire population of our country. Mobile cold storages are now possible. Similarly, there's a company which now checks the value of a fruit by spectral analysis and tells you, so you know what you are buying is what you're getting is what you're buying. So such technology, there's a company which makes storages out of natural resources, natural fiber like banana, which preserves the life of the product and extends it by over 2.5 times. Varanasi, in fact, incidentally had been there some time back. Carpets they want to export, but the Western countries want the packaging to be reusable. Reusable packaging is a huge kind of a scope for engineers like you. So what I would like to bring out is there's multiple opportunities in this space. Before this, we had heard about the defense sector. Now, defense sector, well, is such a kind of a sector since I come from that background. What you do now in defense will come into commercial application maybe 2-3 decades later even. What you're seeing now is in Toyota Camry, which is a hybrid car now, is nothing but a World War II German U-boat design, 1945, okay? And what you see now in inverter air conditioners, which is just coming into the market, has been there since 90s on submarines, from where I come from. So what I'm trying to bring out is, you get into a defense sector, which will throw open a huge world for you, which you can then bring it into kind of applications, such as cyber-physical systems. I'll now come to my presentation. I'm just giving you this background because what I heard over yesterday and today. I'll be covering my presentation with these topics as shown. A little bit on the scope of the sector, what is the government's thrust, and what are the emerging tech opportunities, the entrepreneurship, and then what are the attributes. Now, this I'll just take a minute because this is important. What is the scope of this logistics sector, you must know. Now, warehousing, if you see, is one of the key logistics subsectors. If you take out the map of the globe and you put India in the center, India is emerging as the global hub for warehousing. Why? Because the cost of warehousing is cheapest in the country. 1/7 the cost of Heathrow, which is the costliest. In fact, in the top 25, you have almost all the cities of the subcontinent. Chennai, Bangalore, Pune, Bombay, Hyderabad, all these are within the top 23. So therefore, warehousing is a huge kind of a subsector where it could well emerge as a hub for the entire world. The concept of warehousing has also changed. Gone are the days where in a godown, you put some thing there. The longer you put it there, the more the warehouse owner will, revenue he'll get. Those days are gone. That is not the nature of business. Now, the number of items that flow through the warehouse is what determines what is going to be the revenue of the warehouse. So this typical example for example, if there are thousands of you, each of you, even if you order one item, there are 1,000 items which is going through the warehouse. Okay. So imagine lakhs and lakhs of items, SKUs, what are called stock keeping units, flow through the warehouse, and that is what brings in the revenue because the value addition happens now in the warehouse. Now, land transportation is a huge subsector where 60%, in fact, of the cargo that moves in the country is going by road. And the amount of development that's happening on the highways, it is only bound to increase. And you will soon find heavy motor vehicles. So that becomes another area where technology will be needed. Courier and express industry is now a part and parcel. It's an organized sector. You have companies such as DHL, FedEx, and so on, who have now stepped in. There are enough opportunities, especially as entrepreneurs, where you can set up a franchisee office of DHL and so on. E-commerce, I'm sure all of you would have at some point in time bought some item through e-commerce. There's again a huge amount of tech involved, especially in terms of the cataloging, especially in terms of the transport network design and the supply and distribution chain. Cold chain, because of the pandemic, has seen a huge development in the last 2 years. It's also given infrastructure status, so you can get credits at much lesser cost of capital. And now it's one of those sectors where there are multiple startups, especially on mobile temperature-controlled storages. Port terminals, ICDs, and container freight stations. Given the country subcontinent, 7,500 kilometers of coastline, ports and terminals will continue to play a very important role, and therefore, and there are also a lot of, in fact, they were one of the early businesses to work on blockchain. The entire liner traffic, which is now running across the globe, which taking containers from place A to B, it runs on a blockchain kind of a technology now for companies such as Maersk. Now, there is an interesting concept of also coastal economic zones, where close to the vicinity of the port, you can set up an enterprise where you can have the benefit of import and export. So this is something which you can explore, where there is a lot of tax breaks that you get. Inland waterways and marine services is now, right now, the country is focusing on the National Waterway 1 and 2, and now even exports are happening. So there again, there's a scope for even in design in areas such as shipbuilding, and also one area which has not been touched upon since yesterday and today is in the area of maintenance of equipment. All of you have been thinking about, it's not only about manufacturing a product, but also in the maintenance of product, because especially in a cost-conscious country like ours, maintenance becomes a very important aspect. Air cargo terminals and air freight stations is another subsector dependent heavily on the cargo. Because of the COVID, the passenger traffic has come down. Cargo has kept airlines afloat. And in fact, a lot of produce goes by way of air freight. For example, your okra, lady's finger, is exported by air now. Then rail logistics. This is picking up now, especially now Kisan Rail, temperature controlled rail has all started running, and it becomes a very important subsector because a lot of privatization is happening. Metro Rail, for example, is becoming independent corporation. It's going to have, it will be like a build, own, operate, transfer. So private operators will start running Metro Rail. So again, there are jobs there. Liquid logistics is going to become a big kind of a subsector. Please take note, because it involves chemicals. And chemicals, incidentally, if you see the labor market information system, is one of the industries where a lot of manpower is being required for a country like us. Liquid oxygen transportation, for example, has been a key for our COVID management. And now soon it will be like green hydrogen transportation. These are emerging kind of a space. Then you have supply chain in support of manufacturing as well as in support of agriculture, such as, because most assembly lines are getting automated, and therefore line feeding becomes important, and this is again an area where logistics operations happen. Touching upon what the government has done, you would have all heard about Gati Shakti, 1.68 lakh crores. It's the country's largest investment that has ever happened so far since independence. That's the kind of a thrust that is being given on the infrastructure in terms of the connectivity, especially in what is called multimodal connectivity. There's a project, Sagarmala, which another speaker had touched upon in the morning, which is for port infrastructure building, port hinterland connectivity, and also new port development. So that project is also happening. Quite a number of minor port development is happening on that. Bharatmala highway connectivity. In fact, we have reached one of the highest rates of building in terms of the highway, almost 40 to 50 kilometers per day. Per hour is the kind of roads that we are getting laid right now. UDAN is the scheme for the regional air connectivity, especially for movement of perishables and time-sensitive cargo. And as I had mentioned, exports through the waterways already started to Bangladesh. Warehousing, if you see, has got a phenomenal growth. It's almost a cumulative annual growth rate of almost 30 to 40%. And ease of doing business. I think it's you would have all realized how well the IMO has structured this whole presentation. Fintech preceding Logitech, literally. And in fact, even our team, only I am the hard infrastructure guy. With me are two colleagues who will be talking totally tech. So logistics has become completely technology oriented. So then, what are the emerging tech opportunities? I'll just touch upon them. I think my esteemed colleagues will now cover this in greater detail. Augmented reality, virtual reality is all going to play a very important role. I mean, if you can think, pilots, I'll just connect some of the dots. In fighter pilots, when they are flying, they need to engage the enemy without taking their eyes off the panel. So you have what is called a HUD, head-up display. So you don't have to look anywhere, it's on the helmet itself. So now this is coming in warehousing, because a picker, when he has to pick an item, imagine 3,000 times you look at the list and then look at that item, look at this and look at the item, your neck will just go. So therefore now you have it in the head-up display itself. Now are we making it? There's one company, I just thought I should mention this. This is a company called Armstrong. It started by one engineer like you, young guy, Majgonkar, and he started it in Nashik. And he employs just other engineers, etc. Now that company is manufacturing these head-up displays. So this is the kind of an opportunity that is kind of emerging. Then you have sensors and telematics. Ola, Uber are classic examples. But then now you need more hyperlocal. India is a huge country. I think if you can have you can have many more hyperlocal solutions, and that's something which you should look at. You would have all seen that link behind our road transport buses. What is that? It is nothing but a cargo aggregator. So there's a huge need for such kind of transport cargo aggregators, so that the trucks run full both from and to. Similar, then you have your softwares for management of warehouses, transport. So these are some things which are getting developed very rapidly across the country. In fact, most trucks, 99% will all be GPS enabled. So you have almost complete track and trace of your cargo available at any time. All of you who have dispatched any courier would be able to have the consignment number and tracking it. Similarly, now blockchain is coming in a big way, as I said, and that is something which will, shared ledgers would become the order of the day for any supply chain. I'll stop here on this particular thing because it will be covered in greater detail by my colleagues. And in the interest of time, proceed forward. Entrepreneurship. I'll just give you a little story. 2005, IIT batch, Suresh Kumeli is his name. He started a company called Last Mile in Hyderabad. Very simple business, nature of business. He got about 10-15 people whom he could trust from his village. And then he told them, you can then pick up more kind of colleagues of yours and run the business. Now he was covering the entire Hyderabad and all the adjoining districts around it. And I was the one who gave him a lead into Flipkart. And then he further expanded, it became a pan-India kind of a company. Now he has sold that company to Delivery for 50 crores. 2015 he started it. By 2020 he has sold it to Delivery for 50 crores. Nothing, no great capital required. Just a little bit of initiative and good kind of IT management. So if you see now, amongst all the unicorns, 25 out of 94 are in the logistics kind of a space. And this is basically because this sector has been a very low barrier to entry. 98% are small, micro, small, medium enterprises, freight forwarding, custom brokers, and so on. The main thing in all this is the ability to, yesterday again, one of the speakers said, ability to identify a problem and solve it, and that becomes the key. And as I was mentioned, warehousing and last mile delivery, they are the biggest pain points. If you can give a solution there, it'll be very, very necessary. And what are the attributes needed? This is the last slide. I think in the main, what is existing right now is the inability of the personnel right now to understand the changing environment. And that's where you come in. There's enough opportunity in this. You should have the ability to use the software that are available and a little bit on the data analytics. And I think all speakers have mentioned soft skills is the need of the day. I will, before I conclude, with another example, as I had mentioned. Ilango in 2010, I met him in one of the tsunami relief kind of a job mela. He had lost both his parents. He was a 5th class pass, I think. And he came, just in a torn banian and a shorts, without even a footwear. And we said, can we employ him? So we said, yes, we'll take him for training. He came from the Irula community, which catch snakes, the Irula community. So we trained him in welding. And I spoke with Sundaram Fasteners and got him a job there for 13,000 rupees. We trained him as a MIG welder. In 6 months flat, he came back to me and said, sir, I got an increment of 5,000 rupees. Last I heard, he was earning somewhere upwards of 30,000 rupees. What does it mean? Everybody, all of us, have some inherent skills, genetically acquired. Just think on those lines. I'm sure each of you will have some skill which is very unique. Leverage on that. I'm sure you'll have the best in your life. And finally, as all of us we need luck. So wish you all the very best of luck. Thank you.
வணக்கம். இந்த மாபெரும் மேடையில் திரு ஐமா என்னும் அமைப்பும் உன்னதமான அண்ணா யூனிவர்சிட்டியும் சேர்ந்து மற்ற பல சான்றோர்களுடன் இந்த உன்னதமான ஒரு நிகழ்வுக்கு என்னை பேச அமைத்ததற்கு மனமார்ந்த நன்றி. என்னுடைய நெடுநாள் கனவு இன்று நிறைவேறுகிறது. அது It's a pleasure and privilege to be here. I will make it very quick. Just wanted to ask one question before I start the conversation. Who are my customers for this next 5 minutes or 7 minutes? Who are my customers? Loudly. Yes. If you have understood that you are all customers for my session here for the next 7-8 minutes, we have understood logistics. That is the way the entire paradigm shift has been happening in the logistics industry. 30 years ago, I'll take a minute to set the context. 30 years ago, when Jai Shankar was a purchase officer or an assistant manager purchase, as a part of the purchasing function, when he was tasked to do a logistics, what it meant was, Jai Shankar will go to Paris Corner, go up, climb 4 or 5 huge company stairs, get a rate, competitive rate for a 20-feet container, prepare not even in Excel those days, prepare a manual comparison, come back, availability of vessel, pray all stars that the container should come onto the village in the factory without toppling, ensure that it is loaded properly, lashed properly, and wait. I'll tell you a small instance. You will be following 68 containers or 70 containers per month. The only container where without technology was not available like this today, right? The only container where somebody at the top would be really interested, your collaborator will be there in Germany waiting for a trial, there will be a possible joint venture, that will only get offloaded in Singapore. Okay, that was the kind of, systems, but hats off to the kind of human element that ran along with it. A local logistics, same Jaishankar will go and negotiate half a production schedule which will be equivalent to 6 months of your requirement, and negotiate in a language which you may not know with a transporter in Bombay or Delhi. But Manida name Yenga Nakai, all these people, we have run just in time on bullock carts in 81. Can you believe? People will come, it will be raining. They will be covering the bullock carts with the tarpaulin. They would be shivering, and there will be, that is the kind of pyramid of the workforce Tamil Nadu has got and all over. And if we owe our logistics today, tech-enabled logistics, it is due to the vision of most of the industries. Today, automobile industry in South is called Detroit. It is because of the vision of those leaders, catalyzed by the hard work of those pyramid people at the bottom. I thank them before I get into logistics. Today's logistics, as it has evolved, today's logistics is very different, Completely, there is a paradigm shift, there is a change. Especially here comes COVID. People attach different meanings to logistics. This one. I start with this. Yes, in logistics we can do it, you can do it. I will tell you why. Please. There is always, there are theoretical definitions that are coming in, whether how logistics has transformed. I'm not getting into it. But today, what is meant by logistics is end to end. If we can improve productivity and reach it to the customer faster, that is logistics. Every micro element. Logistics has today become a board topic. Supply chain people are getting into board levels. So such is the kind of importance the logistics, thanks to, over technology, as well as due to the kind of phenomenal, take in volumes as Captain Ramanujam has been kind enough to say, the kind of developments on infrastructure and the kind of industrial thrust, the overall definition of logistics has gone through into an end-to-end way. This is the conventional definition for the sake of, audience who may not know. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Sure. This is the conventional definition. Logistics is moving material, getting money in a structured way. All the industries, there are so many industries that, industrialists were speaking here. But if one industry runs through across all the industries, it is logistics industries, as it is now reshaped into supply chain. People call it as logistics, logitech, completely evolved into supply chain. But any industry, you name any industry, there is a dependence on logistics combined, which is getting catalyzed by the functional knowledge, thanks to technology now. I just want to pass here in agriculture, we had the opportunity, Dr. Rajaram is here. Just about 2 months ago, few of the young engineers like you, no technology. They just developed a simple mechanism, a mechanical item where productivity of onion went by 40%. Human element, labor was relieved and they were upskilled. Any technology, I want to leave it to these youngsters here. This is a fundamental principle as I have been, traveling through. Any technology that increases the value of, human society in terms of relieving the mundane jobs, that is where we should park ourselves for jobs. This is history how logistics became into various two milestones I would like to pass with you. One is pallets and other is the barcode. Subsequently, so many things happened. Now things are happening in such a rapid space. Please. This is a conventional way we see an organization. But everywhere you see technology has taken over. Now we are talking of even the brick and mortar companies which are trying to move both through the conventional channels as well as through their own outlets and directly connect by e-commerce. I was a party to about the learning with about 30 CEOs about 2 months ago. The best takeaway for me is even for conventional companies, directly connect to the customer. This is what is happening, and it has a lot of bearing on the logistics as we have been perceiving. Most of the companies are parallelly doing, and some of them, of course, full-fledged e-commerce companies are there, but most of the manufacturing companies, it is heartening to know there's quite a lot of innovation in terms of logistics, because now the term logistics for your company, now the term logistics is anything that you do from end to end. Any value addition in terms of meeting the deliverables to the customer faster is supposed to be a logistics improvement. I'm just picking up from where Captain Ramanujam left. 60% of the time of human activity goes into warehouse. This is where most of the tech is taking place. That is why Amazon's, my next colleague will speak, they spend millions of dollars in terms of improving productivity and relieving human fatigue on picking up the right item. Please. I would like to leave, because the lot of speakers have spoken about the macro industry. I would like to bring a slightly different perspective coming from the shop floor. I would like to leave few low-hanging fruits. As everybody knows there is a skill gap, and people are, elders are addressing it, and the logistics industry is exploding end to end. There is going to be phenomenal opportunities in warehousing as it is automated in. But few things, as from a perspective of since I've been around, I just wanted to leave. Further. I think purchasing and even CHA, these are all opportunities for self-employment, because I see a lot of companies, the custom house agent is becoming a part and parcel. It was a forgotten job, but a lot of youngsters can get into it, because engineers and commerce people are best suited for CHA. Whether as an entrepreneur or of making money, there is quite a lot of scope available in the country, as companies want to bring them into their roles, so that they have a seamless flow of information and visibility. Today you can hear anywhere, visibility is the jargon that you will get in any company. Visibility, resilience and agility. What it means is the top management or the operating management wants to know what is happening from one end of the chain, supplier to ultimate customer, and the return. Yeah. Just one more. Final, one more. Last. Hold it, the previous. These are the few, low-hanging fruits. In fact, I picked up this jargon from youngsters like you. Low-hanging fruits means, as you are positioning yourself, you can try all of them. so that you have some multiple streams of income. India, globally, and in India, there is going to be multi-skilling is going to be the order of the day. I very firmly believe having, been talking to people, the workforce will become multi-skilled because there is so much of convergence and explosion of technologies happening. It is in our interest, it is in our being prudent. We always should have, the ability to do multi-skilling. These are technologies which are used in various forms in logistics. Even we have a system where 100 of your youngsters like you, we have a partner where they have developed AI-based purchasing. 20 years ago, if I walked into my boss room and then said, I want to subcontract purchasing, he would have moved me to the subcontractor. Today, purchasing is being, purchasing as a skill set is being, considered to be given off to other company. And I see a lot of youngsters like you when you travel to Delhi, Mumbai, there are a lot of youngsters who are doing freelance purchasing and supporting 10 companies, making quite a good money even on engineering. These are skills. I'm not going to take time because I'm running out of time. But what is most important is what we saw in 2015 was not what we could see, but what we saw in in the last 7-8 years, which continues to be seen as what is required in 2025 is critical thinking and analytics. Thank you very much. I have a few more slides, but the main, 3 things I would like to leave with youngsters with you. Of course, I wish you all the very best in your career or in entrepreneurs, but 3 things are: continuous learning is going to take you. Continuous learning is going to be the order of the day. Multi-skilling will provide you ample opportunities for self-development and for contribution to society, and creativity and analytical ability. You all have it in plenty. I wish you all the very best. Thank you for the opportunity.
Vanakkam, my name is Lokesh. I'm going to change gears because everybody's been talking about what the industry is. I'm possibly going to give you some aspects of what you should do specifically to go into the infrastructure side. But my infrastructure is going to be different. I'm going to be talking about cloud. So I just want to start off first by telling you that there were 3 areas which are the most in demand given by a recent report of Alpha Beta, which talked about usage of cloud software tools, cybersecurity, and cloud architecting. So these are 3 areas that you should be, very familiar with. But I'd like to begin by talking about 4 numbers out here. Can you guess what these numbers are? Just a hypothetical guess. Anybody? So 7.8 is the population of the global world, okay? And 3.7% of that, 3.7 billion people today have access to the internet. Of that, 50% reside in Asia Pacific, and 24% of that are in India alone. So you can imagine that with technology percolating everywhere, you're going to see a plethora of tech-enabled industries, which Srini was talking about. I want to talk about specifically how digital transformation is happening. A lot of you remember the black and yellow taxis. But now with the transportation changing, we have the Olas and Ubers. Just to share with you, there was a recent report which was carried out post-COVID, which is just in the last 2 months, where they said that about 14.5 million rides are done in 1 week by these cab aggregators. So you can imagine the kind of, transportation which is happening. A lot of you use it during the COVID time had, moved online, where you were learning about a lot of the information that your professors and faculty were sharing, specifically, on ebooks or PDFs or any other material which was there. You would realize that while print books still have about 60% of the market, you will see in the next 2 to 3 years that transitioning down, and the expectation is that by the next 4 to 5 years, only about 30% is going to remain in print. Rest all is going to become electronic. We had a very wonderful fintech session. So you are aware that today even a auto wala or a rickshaw wala is going to take, some kind of e-payment. Just to give you the numbers, the entire digital stack which happened in 2021 was about $3 billion, the entire transaction stack. And the expectation is in the next 10 years, it's going to go up to 1 trillion. So you can imagine that everything is becoming, I would say, with the help of digitization, everything is going to be changing. Now, I'll talk about something out here. Are you aware that today, in the IT sector, there are about 4.4 million professionals? Out of the 4.4 million professionals, about 2 million are in the enabled services, the BPOs, KPOs, LPOs, etc. But the remaining 2.4 are still in the core IT sector. Out of that 2.4, barely about 6 lakh are operating in cloud. The actual demand is about 8 lakhs. And in the next 3 years, this is going to grow up by about 3x. And you'll see a shortfall of almost about 8 lakh cloud professionals. So moral of the story is you need to learn cloud because cloud is omnipresent right now. And you will also see that earlier, I would say 10 years back, the role of IT was, somebody will do system admin, somebody will give a password, somebody will do everything. But now IT or the CIO has got a table on the seat along with the CEOs and the CFOs. And if you look at the kind of jobs which are happening in cloud, if you talk today to a Naukri.com or an Indeed.com or a Monster.com, the minimum number of jobs you will see in cloud would be somewhere between 60 to 70,000 at any given day. Even for freshers, it is between 200 to 300 at any given day. So you can imagine that, people with cloud experience are going to find jobs very, very easily. Now, what exactly is cloud? For people who don't know about that, any information which is on demand, which can be retrieved from the net, and you pay as you go. That is basically cloud computing. Give you a simple example. During your admission time, your college server generally crashes, or during your exam time, your college server generally crashes. What is the reason? The reason is they don't have a distributed load. But if you put it on the cloud, it is available and you can scale as you go. That is the biggest advantage. And when you want to scale down, you will pay only for what you have used. So cloud is here to stay, is what I want to share with you. Now, we offer different programs for you, and that is the reason I said my track is going to be slightly different, where I'm going to give you inputs of what you need to do. So first of all, there are 3 different programs that we run, and I would recommend all of you to go through these programs and see what is applicable for you. The first one is like an online, platform where you can go, enroll, and go ahead and take up all the courses that you may want to do so. It just requires an email, your Hotmail, Gmail will suffice. You don't need to give any credit card number, nothing. Everything is free of cost. Okay? So you go in and do that. The second one are where you have about 500 digital skill courses. So you can go ahead and do that. And the third one is primarily meant for educational institutions. In the next 3 minutes, I'm going to talk about each of them and end my presentation. So the first one, the site is out there, awseducate.com. You want to learn about cloud, you want to learn about machine learning, you want to learn about IoT, you want to learn about simulated racing. You can do all of that and earn badges along with that. So that is a very critical element for you. Just to give you a look and feel, it also has a job board where you can go and, post completing the course, go and put your CV out there and get jobs for that. So this is the look and feel where you can go in and take up the various courses. There are foundational courses, there are intermediate courses, and there are advanced courses. So you can go ahead and do that. The second one is, which is the AWS Academy, and a lot of the people which are mentioned at the back, on the backdrop, most of them, including, RMK, etc., SRM, all these people are our existing academies. We provide the curriculum free of cost to the institution. The institution goes ahead, adopts them. 50% of the course is hands-on, so you work on the entire platform and get that exposure. And then there are capstone projects that you do. So the curriculum is offered by AWS. They are all aligned to global certifications, and you can go ahead and take up these certifications. Just to share with you the kind of curriculum which you have, and I realize that we have a mix of students. They're from the circuit branches, they're from mechanical, they're from aerospace, they're from, different branches. So either you can specialize in cloud, or you can move to data centers. For example, people in mechanical, if they want to look at, how do you maintain the HVAC of a data center, you can go ahead and do that. Or how do you manage cloud on, the data center on the cloud itself. You can also learn about machine learning. You can also learn about data analytics and NLP, natural language processing. Or you can go in the advanced courses which are related to specialization in cloud. If you don't want to go ahead and do a regular course, then you also have the option of doing hands-on labs, which are sandbox environments where, as a faculty, you can give a project and the students can go through the various projects that they may have. Just to share with you, every student who completes the course gets access to badges. And these badges are now recognized internationally as well as within India, along with the major GSIs. GSI stands for Global System Integrators, what we call as the Twitch companies. Tata, Wipro, Infosys, Cognizant, HCL, etc. This is another platform for you, which is called the AWS Skill Builder. I have 2 minutes, sir, I'll finish. Where you can go, and the link is given below. You can go ahead and enroll for these courses. There are predominantly about 500 courses that you can do. So build your skill sets around that. I would also like to, give you some input that if you want to learn through a gaming process, you want to learn as you progress doing a game, this is another avenue for you called the Cloud Quest. So you will learn about the nuances of cloud while you play a game. So I will just like to, talk about the kind of companies that recruit, and you can see majority of the system integrators are there, and even the smaller companies. So what are the jobs which are available out here? You can get into troubleshooting and operations, you can get into designing, you can get into architecting, or you can get into pre-sales, which is more from a consulting side, where the kinds of Deloitte, PwC, etc. recruit you. Finally, I would just like to say and give you 3 lessons. Number 1, money is important, but it is not everything. Otherwise, Dhoni and Tendulkar would have stopped playing cricket, right when they had earned that money. Number 2, it is not an overnight success. I don't know how many of you know that Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, took about 7 years before he started becoming successful. And number 3 is learn, unlearn, and relearn. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions, we'll take it later.
Thank you very much. All the renowned speakers, particularly in this large area of infrastructure and logistics, we have to contain within a time frame. I'm sorry for that, but definitely the message has gone to our student community, and the information is very, very valuable. Thank you. Now I call upon Mr. Uday Kumar and Dr. Meera to come. Sir, thank you very much. Sorry for having curtailed for everyone.